Hello and welcome back to Pulumi TV. I'm your host David Flanagan, and today we're going to be taking a look at some updates to the Pulumi service, as well as answering any questions that you may have at home. So don't sit there in silence. Please feel free to jump into the comment section and drop any questions you have with regards to Pulumi or the service or anything else that we're talking about today. All right, today I'm joined by my colleague Anita. Hey Anita, how's it going?
Hello. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure. I'm glad that you're able to find some time to come and sit with us and talk about the service UI and, more importantly, what you do at Pulumi. So, if you would not mind, could you take a few moments and just tell us like what you're up to and what you're involved with?
Yeah, for sure. So, again, my name's Anita. I'm a UX designer at Pulumi, and I've been here since January of this year. So, uh, it's very exciting to have now been here like enough time to like start like seeing the impact from some of the work that I've been doing, as you'll see a little bit later today. So I'm like very excited to talk to you all about just why user experience is so important to us at Pulumi and all the good that comes from it.
All right. Well, for anyone who's not familiar with the term UX designer, UX developer, UX product, like I mean, there's a whole bunch of roles now in this space. Can you just kind of share what your mission is and what you're up to?
For sure. So, user experience designers and user experience more broadly is really about representing the user in everything that we do. So, when you are, on a product team, there are certainly people who have like business goals in mind, people who have product goals in mind, and we want to be sort of this player who comes to the table and says, well, we want to keep the users in mind. So we connect with users in many different ways through testing and getting their feedback. And then we put forward designs that sort of integrates those learnings from talking to users and say, well, we know from X, Y, and Z that users need this thing or that they're struggling here. And that way we can kind of come to the table and really problem solve for them and then ultimately make a more usable product.
Awesome. It says, I guess it could be quite challenging. I mean, I haven't. It's not something I've done personally. I do speak to users and I do try to understand their problems and what they're doing. But I think you speak to a lot more of them than I do. And I'm curious, like, do they all have the same frustrations, or is like 100 users have 200 different problems? Like, how does that pan out?
It's a little more in the middle, I would say. So we definitely try to look for like patterns of problems that arise between users, but certainly like we don't have just like one type of user who uses Pulumi. Like they have people have like very different and varied needs, and so they're going to come up against like different frustrations, and so we need to make sure that we are serving these different people. So it is very much striking this balance and saying like, hey, like this many people are like really struggling with this issue, and so we need to prioritize that. But that's not to say like that this is the only issue that our users are coming up against, and kind of teasing out like what some of these like smaller problems would be, and really just trying to make an impact there.
Awesome. Well, if there's people watching just now thinking, I've got feedback, like I want to help, how do we reach out to these people? Do we do something on a website or anyone can sign up? Do they email in? Do they, I don't know, write you a letter to the Pulumi office? Like, what is the best way for people to say, I'd love to be involved, I'd love to help out a bit more?
So we have a few methods that people can get in touch with us at Pulumi, uh, and we can sort of make sure everything gets routed to the right place. So I wouldn't worry too much about where you start. But there is a feedback form in the Pulumi service that you can use, and that will kind of directly reach us, and we can figure stuff out. And there is also from like the www.pulumi.com website, there is also like a chat feature where you can reach out with any questions and things that you might have, and we can support you from there as well. Yeah.
Okay. And between you and me, like, you don't need to tell everyone watching. You read every bit of feedback, right?
Oh,
Every
absolutely, with you.
Awesome. All right, you mentioned something there that I'd also like to clarify for this. You can actually use Pulumi; it's open source software, and never touch the Pulumi service. So there may be people that are watching going, "The what? What's that?" What is the Pulumi service?
So the Pulumi service is so you can, when you go to pulumi.com, there is a sign-in feature where you can sign into this kind of separate part of Pulumi called the Pulumi service. And as you say, you may have avoided this for whatever reason, but if you are interested in having Pulumi sort of organize and manage a lot of your stacks and your projects, you can use the Pulumi service to manage all of that. And we have some like cool features in there to kind of give you an overview of all of your like infrastructure operations from your dashboard, and just kind of and other features depending on what kind of account that you have. We have a lot of features just to help with that sort of higher level management that you might otherwise be doing on your own.
Yeah, this is a conversation I have at conferences a lot. For anyone who's not used the Pulumi service before, I always try to encourage them to do so. But what they don't realize is that it's free for individual developers. Like, you don't have to worry about syncing that Pulumi state file to blob storage because you can just use the service and it doesn't cost you a penny. I think that's a fantastic offering for developers that want to be able to use that. I
Yeah, your
suppose.
individual accounts are always free. You don't have to be part of like an organization to use the Pulumi service. So you as like your own person can literally just sign up and like have that all available to you.
Yeah, we encourage you to do so. It's a great way to manage your state. I think we should show people it now. So as I always do, I've lost my mouse, but I'm finding it. So I'm going to pull up a screen share, which we have here. So maybe I'll just log out actually. Do that. Here we go. So this is pulumi.com. You can browse to app.pulumi.com and it will take you straight to the login page of the service if you are logged in. But we do have a login button to the top right of the page here. I always use GitHub authentication just because I don't like passwords. And here we are. I'm straight into the Pulumi service. We have an overview. This is the dashboard page. You want to give us a quick run through of the things that you like here and any changes that were made recently, please feel free to highlight them as we go.
Yeah, so a lot has actually changed here recently. If you have used the Pulumi service before, this could look kind of unfamiliar to you because there has been like an overhaul that has happened. This is like an individual account view of the dashboard. So we're maintaining our resources for helping people get started. You can collapse all of these cards once you're done using them, and then kind of start just getting into like the operational flow of things. We have a latest stack updates card, and that is going to list all of like your most recent activity, so you can easily navigate into any projects and stacks that you've touched recently. And that card will also expose any operation messages that are tied to those updates when you hover on that little note icon. Yeah, so you can see exactly what update we're talking about. The details links will take you into the more detailed view of all of those particular updates. So if you are kind of checking up on something, troubleshooting something, you can easily get there. This is where your change log and all of your metadata configuration lives. And you have like quick links out to like GitHub, things that just things that you might need to kind of do the troubleshooting that we know a lot of users are doing when they're coming into the service. And
Yeah, this is one of my favorite features actually. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but you mentioned the GitHub links, and like I use GitHub Actions a lot. There's an official Pulumi GitHub action, and whenever you use that action to execute your Pulumi program, you get these links to like the runner and the pull request and the branch and the certain commit, and like being able to do that I think is really cool, especially as things change over time and I'm not the only person working on it.
for sure. And just to like from the usability perspective, from talking with lots of people, we know that when people come into the service, like they're highly like task motivated. It's like you're not just here like browsing around. It's like they have something that they're trying to get done, and we want to provide as much information as possible for those people to be able to find the things that they need, and that way we can get them in and out. Yep. And have a high level understanding of what's going on with their operations.
All right.
Back here on the dashboard page, a feature that we've also recently implemented is favoriting. So we have a favorite stacks card on the dashboard, and you'll also see in the left-hand navigation, we also have a favorites dropdown. So David, if you could click on latest stack updates, a little star next to a stack, that will add that stack to your favorites. And you can add favorites not just from the dashboard, but from any stack page. You'll start to see those star icons. So you can essentially pin any stacks that you need to get to frequently and have access to them from this page and from the left-hand navigation. That way, so wherever you are in the service, we can prioritize getting you into the most important places. But we're also, I can have you switch into a different organization from your individual account. So if you are not an individual user, you can, you'll start to see this view of the dashboard if you're part of an organization. You have these additional cards at the top that are, I refer to them as the little quick stats cards. But this just gives you some like quick digestible information about everything that's going on in your operation. So how many members are part of your org, how many stacks you have, how many resources you have. And if there's a diff between this week and the last, you'll be able to see that in your total stacks and resources count. And then the other thing that you get if you are part of an organization is you have this little members card just to see who is joining your organization. And if you're an admin, you can see the any pending invites and manage any invites that you have. Oh, here we go. You can manage those pending invites, resend or revoke those.
I'm revoking your invite. Sorry.
Oh, my heart. So again, we really just wanted to provide people with like a sort of big picture of what's happening in the service that you can sort of consume very easily from the dashboard.
What I love about this is that obviously it's a brand new overhaul and it's extremely functional. We've got all these nice little components and dashboards and stuff. But I got to say the aesthetics on it are just great as well. Like the use of these kind of gradients, but like they're very muted. It pleases me. It makes me very happy every time I come to the service dashboard.
We love to hear that, especially because so UX design isn't just about like making functional changes. Like obviously that's something we care about immensely, but like we want to make changes that are also sort of like delightful to users. So like we have like these sort of like fun and happy components, and you're not just coming into the service and seeing something kind of like drab that you don't really want to implement. So we hope that we're kind of bringing those delights into your experience when you hit this page. So
yeah, definitely. Like sometimes you can have the best, like I'm definitely a member and customer for some amazing products out there, but sometimes aesthetically their website feels like it's built in the 90s. Like that feeling you get sometimes. And it can be quite disappointing because you're like, oh, this is really cool software, but that's not the case here. Like I just think everything just looks very modern and very nice. It's very good to use. So yeah, I love these changes, and these cards I think are just fantastic as well. Those little overviews giving me a really high level description of what's happening. So yeah, great updates to the service. And we actually have a comment. Sorry, I'm just rambling now, but we have a comment in the chat from Karamber. Then the new UI is sure better than the old one. So we're really glad that the hard work that many people are putting into the service is working.
Yeah, we really appreciate hearing that. We've gotten some really lovely notes from people after we rolled out these changes, and that always like feels very good that to know like, oh, okay, we we were able to implement something that kind of made a difference to somebody's experience coming in here, and that's the most important thing to me for sure. So,
Awesome. All right.
but
Have we missed anything? Is there more stuff we should go over?
on the dashboard, probably not. I do want to call out because it's been here on the screen this whole time, and I haven't talked about it. The left-hand navigation is also something that we changed in this most recent set of in this most recent rollout. But we I don't want to I want to be careful how I say this. The previous navigation that we had in the service, I think confused some people. So if you could navigate to any stack,
Yeah.
just any stack, that would be fine. And yeah, if you click prod or whatever that is. I think that's what it says. Yeah. So if you recognize this page, you have like a secondary navigation at the top where you're kind of moving between like different parts in this stack. Before we implemented the left nav, people were kind of getting lost in here because that navigation would sort of take the place of like all of the other navigation items. So people were having trouble like getting back to like their organization settings or like getting back to the dashboard, let's say. So we wanted to kind of bring in this new navigation so that people could kind of find their place wherever they're at in the service. So that way you can kind of be deep diving in any of your stacks and not feel confused about where you are at. So that was like a big priority that we had that came of a lot of conversations and feedback from users, and we were very excited that we were able to make that change.
Yeah, I think it's one of those quality of life changes. Like I didn't really realize I needed it until I seen it and was working with it, and I was like, wow, this just works better. Like, yeah, definitely.
And we definitely don't want you to like navigation is one of those things that it is functional. So like it has to like you need to just be able to do it, and you shouldn't be conscious of the fact that you're trying to find something. It should be this sort of like very intuitive, like, oh, this is what I need, this is where I want to go. So we almost hope you didn't notice that this was like a big like, oh, like I don't know where anything is now. Like hopefully your experience coming into this is like, oh, like now I have all of my like these options available to me. I can see where I'm at. And yes, like you said, I hope that is a big quality of life improvement for folks using the service.
Well, definitely. Karen Barr is back in the comments saying, correct. The top nav used to make me feel like I was getting lost. So yeah, there you go. You've got a nice, lovely, shiny left menu, which I love in collapse mode too. So you can just
yes, it does collapse. I didn't use so if you need more screen real estate, you don't have to have that taking up space if you don't want it to. So
exactly, it's a nice touch. All right, so we've covered, the members, the new little cards for the updates. Have we missed anything? What have we still got here?
I think so. That mostly encapsulates the most recent changes that we've made. This is your what you're hovering on now is your kind of organization toggle. So if you are part of multiple places, that's sort of your go-to place to kind of make sure you're kind of like in the right context. And you can also create your organizations from there. So that has moved from its previous location. So hopefully you didn't, hopefully nobody needed that and couldn't find it. We hope that, you're still able to do everything that you did in like the previous theming. Our goal was definitely to preserve what we had and then make it better, make it more usable for folks. But if we also wanted to talk about like other features that are part of the service that maybe our older users who are familiar with this may already know, but like other folks may not.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So we have, where do we want to start? Let's go back to like a stack maybe, and we can just kind of walk people through everything that you might have in there. Or actually, why don't we go to the full stacks page? So in the left nav, if you click stacks, so this is sort of like the mega list of like all of the stacks that you might have.
I have a few.
just a couple in here. So this is where we know a lot of people are spending their time, like they're trying to like find a particular stack. And so this is a lot of what informed like us wanting to introduce like the favorites, because we wanted people to have, some means of like pinning stuff that they get to often. But this is something that we still want to work on, like moving forward, like to continue like looking for ways to help people organize all of this information, since there's so much of it, and really kind of perfect, I think, the exploratory process of going through some of this information. And then we can let's go into a stack now.
Pick one with updates, maybe, right?
Sure.
Go to the Pulumi challenge. I did that recently.
Yeah, and so this is what we looked at previously. So this is just kind of giving you all of the information about your stack that you might need in one place. We also have the stack README tag. That was a recent feature launch from our service team, which is really cool. And there's recent blog posts about that. From your activity page, you can see a timeline of all of the updates that you've ever performed related to the stack, and then you can click into all of those specific details. This is, again, like the change log and everything that you might need relating to any of your updates. You can see the diff and the diagnostics related to any of your stacks. You get all this information about the timeline. We make sure we record any configuration that's been set up, any metadata that's associated with the stack.
Yep.
And we also, this one doesn't have resources.
I've destroyed it, so.
Oh, this is a destroyed stack.
That's a destroyed stack. Hold on. Let's see. This one shouldn't be destroyed.
Yeah, so here's your resource list, and this is the graph view. This is something that maybe in the future we would like to work on. We have heard from people that this is, and as you may see just looking at this, that this isn't super usable. But the list view does just give you all of the resources that are associated with the stack that you've created. And this one actually doesn't have a ton of them. Oh, but yeah, you have one on the far right. It will link you out to your like the cloud provider or whatever that's associated with the resources. So if you have like something in AWS, there would be like an AWS link over there. So that will take you out to that console.
Kubernetes ones, at least.
Yeah, this one, maybe not the best example, but.
Sorry. I mean, come on. I'm trying. Yeah, I mostly just do lots of Kubernetes stuff, so I don't think I've got any active AWS ones here to show you.
I'm sure everyone can imagine. Yeah, there would be all of those outbound links, so that way you're kind of connected up to everything that you need. Anything in settings that we should call out? No, this is mostly just this is just like management. I think you can manage your integrations here in that second tab. But a lot of if you have CD set up, this is where you probably went in the service.
I've never noticed this before. The email notifications, is that new, or have I just not seen it?
It is actually not new. It has been there, but I think it was sort of like hidden in like all of the text that was up there previously. So it is a little more noticeable now. But yeah, you can toggle that on and off. So if you need to be notified about like activity that's happening on your stack, you can absolutely use that.
Nice, awesome. And if people want to send feedback, that's quite prominent down here in the bottom left corner.
Yes, and again, as soon as you put anything through that form, like will see it. Like I will get notified and I will see the text that you wrote. So
Nice. Well, I think there's lots of updates there for people to love. What I would encourage anyone watching to do is to just use the feedback form and use the Twitter, use, I don't know, email, whatever your preference is. But feel free to get in touch with us. If you want to see further improvements, we're always happy to listen to new ideas. And there's a great team of people that are going to work it out and keep rolling out all these changes. So,
yeah,
yeah, let me pop back over
we do want everyone to feel like if you have feedback, if you have thoughts, that like we will absolutely listen and think on anything that you're saying and really try to like make a case for you as a user in all the work that we do moving forward. So
yeah.
that's very important that we communicate that out to everyone. It does not just go into the ether and never to be heard from again. So.
Oh, so once we deployed these service UI changes, like the UX isn't finished. It's not marked as done, right? Like it's an
Oh my
ongoing.
gosh. Nothing is ever done. We're always like listening to and seeing like, did these changes that we make have the effect that we want? Did this introduce anything else that is like kind of like a net new frustration for people? And like how can we then go back in and make more changes and then iterate on those changes and then so on and so forth? And I mean, we're a young enough company that there's a lot of things that we want to kind of continue to improve, and I think there's like a lot of opportunity for deciding like where can we go next, which is very exciting. So
Okay. So I'm curious now. This question is just purely for me, but we've talked about how the work that you're doing and the UX team are doing is to improve the service and stuff over time. But do you apply that same methodology of collecting feedback and improvements to like our CLI applications as well? Like, does UX stop on the website, or does it go a bit further than that?
yeah, so UX does not stop at the website. So your experience, constitutes like every part of the product that you touch. I personally do a little less work on the CLI than like, let's say, the service, but we absolutely still collect all of that feedback that people give about the CLI. And then particularly like being an open source company, like we have like the ability to, we have all of these like public GitHub repos where we can track issues and stuff. So that's why it's like super important for our community to kind of contribute there and upvote issues that are really important to them, because that does inform like how we proceed and what we prioritize as being like this is going to really positively affect the user's experience of our product. So yes, absolutely. If you don't have to just have feedback on the service or anything, if there is something about your experience in the CLI or on our docs or in our registry, anything Pulumi related, that's still part of your experience, and we would still love to hear about the good and the bad of that.
Awesome. Well, we have one of our colleagues in the comments as well saying, agree, there's definitely lots of things we can make better on the stacks page. Yeah, like I said, UX is not done, and we're going to continue to improve as much as possible. We have a question from LinkedIn from Tunjay asking, does Pulumi boot up a Kubernetes cluster? Yeah, I mean, it totally can. We have providers for AWS, for Google Cloud, for Azure, and if you even want to spin up bare metal Kubernetes clusters, then you can. Just head over to our AWS docs, take a look at the EKS resource. On GCP, we have JKE resources and AKS on Azure. So those are pretty good places to get started if you need a Kubernetes cluster. All right. Well, thank you for joining me today and for sharing more about you, the work that you're doing, and all of the amazing service UI updates that we've seen drop in the last couple of weeks. I know this is always a tricky question, but I'll ask anyway. Like what's next on your roadmap? What are you looking to improve in the future?
Oh,
Careful what you say.
I know. We do have exciting things in the works, many of which we cannot share at this time. I will say, I guess maybe a diplomatic way of saying this, the user experience team does have a public like project board. So any of like our public facing endeavors, anybody can kind of go to the Pulumi GitHub and see what it is that we are working on. So I guess if you have curiosity there, please feel free to deep dive. But yeah, we want to do everything and more. So there's lots that's still on the table for us to tackle.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. I think we're going to leave it there. There's a few comments in the chat, but I think our colleague Lee Briggs is already over them with some great answers as well there. So thank you to everyone that's watched. Anita, thank you for spending some time with me today and sharing those updates. I look forward to doing more updates in the future. But for now, I'll say have a great weekend and we'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Bye.